Alright, what's up, y'all? We're back real quick, and of course, I just wanted to actually get this in. I started to remember what it was I wanted to do with this particular video, and of course, this is my, I guess we'll call this my takeaways from Super Bowl 59. And honestly, it was just something to where I gotta say, I feel incredibly refreshed, to say the very least. For pretty obvious reasons. I mean, it's just really incredible to say the least. And I guess if I'm being perfectly honest, I'd be lying if I didn't say that rooting against the Chiefs wasn't fun as hell. I mean, really, especially during the stream, if y'all would have seen it, you would have noticed I was particularly objective. I wasn't jumping with one way or another or anything, just literally reacting to everything that I was seeing as it was happening, and that's really all there was to it. We'll get right into things, of course, but I just wanted to say that specifically because, you know, I just couldn't be any happier that the Chiefs didn't win. Like, that's all there is to it. I'm not going to say that they lost necessarily, but I mean, if we're being honest, they got their fucking asses beat. So that's always great. But with that in mind, we'll actually start by talking about Patrick Mahomes, fittingly enough. Honestly, it's just really, really funny because I've heard a lot of things said when it comes to the whole so-called GOAT conversation, which, honestly, it's not that he can't still get there, but for one, I don't believe he's going to. Number one, I mean, he'll probably get to a point to where he wins at least a couple more Super Bowls before it's all said and done. It depends on how long he sticks around. And not to mention, will Andy Reid be around that long? I mean, he is in his later 60s, so you got to take that into consideration. And, of course, I'm sure at some point there's going to be a change in coaching staff. I would imagine if not Steve Spagnuolo this year, sometime in the near future. I don't know why I did that, but sometime in the near future, I feel like you're going to see at some point him ultimately getting a head coaching opportunity somewhere. I don't know how he doesn't. Same could be possible for Matt Nagy, but I guess it all depends. I mean, we got to think about, all bias, division rivalries aside and all that. What we got to take into consideration is that this man is resilient as hell, and honestly, the team that's been put together around him the last few years has been as well, regardless of what we may say, how we feel about how they were able to accomplish what they did. But we can't take away the fact that they did it. I mean, that's just the reality of it all, as much as it nauseates me to admit that. But that's just the truth. It was the same way with Brady, but that's another thing about it is, number one, he never beat Brady in the playoffs, and number two, and most importantly, I was calling the game, so I don't know that didn't have something to do with it, but hey, that's just me. My only point being is that as far as the Mahomes legacy is concerned, I think it's definitely going to be up there. I mean, he's surefire first ballot Hall of Fame, like, kind of to the point to where if they could make it to where he doesn't have to wait for the whole 5 years, they won't, but I think he's going to. I mean, guy's definitely a legend. He's still in his mid-20s, so a lot can still happen for him in his favor, but only time will tell with that one. We'll see where that goes, but as far as us here in Broncos country are concerned, it ain't going to be all that great for him, at least not in the long run, but we'll talk about that another time. That being said, we'll move right along, and like I said, the Chiefs got their ass kicked, and that was specifically by the Eagles defense, but we definitely got to talk about Cooper DeJean, though, man. I mean, that dude is pretty much made moving forward. I mean, I'm going to imagine that he's going to continue and have very, very successful football career, especially with the Eagles. I mean, the way he plays is tailor-made fit for what that defense does. I mean, him and really quietly Quinyon Mitchell are easily the future of that secondary. And of course, with Darius Slay still in his best years, I mean, it's going to be tough to imagine that this window for the Eagles isn't going to be incredibly wide open for a number of years, namely on the secondary alone. And that's not even thinking about the front four, which, I mean, I don't know any other way to look at it. Those guys were phenomenal. I mean, we're talking about Josh Sweat, Milton Williams. I mean, Jalen Carter didn't really do a whole lot, but of course Kansas City was doubling him, and of course that just opened up opportunities for the aforementioned Williams, and of course you got to talk about Josh Sweat. I mean, in my honest opinion, and I mean, for those of us that actually have eyes and that were watching the game, let's be real. Josh Sweat, to me, is the real Super Bowl MVP. But I understand them giving it to Jalen. We'll talk about him and Saquon in a moment. But really and truly, just the fact that you've got this defense, and as young as it is, the nucleus of it's something else. I mean, some of these guys actually are free agents, and of course that's definitely going to have an effect. But I gotta say, long term, this team is definitely going to be a factor for the next few years to come, and they're pretty likely going to end up being a problem. And if for no other reason, it's got to be because of Jalen and Saquon. I mean, man, Saquon probably should have been the league MVP, and again, Jalen the Super Bowl MVP. Look, I'm not trying to hype up the Eagles or anything like that. I am a Bronco fan, but again, I'm just, much like I said in the stream, I'm calling it how I see it. These dudes came out here and showed immense confidence from beginning to end. I mean, Saquon really didn't do a whole lot of anything. Had a big, I believe it was a 22-yard catch that he got that got him on about the 3-yard line. I'm thinking if he would have kept his feet better, or just, I don't know, I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at it again, but either way, just one simple, I guess, difference in something, he probably scores on that play. But of course that wound up, I believe that wound up being no, that wasn't the Devontae Smith touchdown, but I know they scored along the way. Either way, point being here is that these two combined to be literally the biggest threat in all of the league as far as the quarterback running back combination, and I don't know that that's something that necessarily gets talked about all that much. I mean, and there've been so many good ones over the years, but this one's something special. I mean, I honestly believe that, I mean, just given the momentum that they had, and really they were a lot quieter about it with the undefeated streaks than they were. They were a lot quieter this year than they were in the previous couple of years, but you know, it was just really, really obvious because Saquon was just making an awful lot of noise, and understandably so, the Chiefs keyed in on him, and of course, again, he wasn't allowed to do a whole lot, but yet and still, Jalen came through and was still making things happen, finding Goddard, finding Devontae, finding AJ, again, finding Saquon, actually found Jahan Dotson on a couple of really good plays. So, needless to say, I feel as if, again, with the defense as it is right now, and as long as you got these two working together for the next couple of years, maybe 2 to 3 more years, yeah, I don't know that, I don't know. It's going to be really, really tough going against the Eagles for the foreseeable future. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be what we dealt with the Kansas City Chiefs, but there's a good chance it could be along those lines. I mean, it really depends on how they go about it. I mean, as long as Saquon continues to remain in peak form as he is right now, I don't know that he's even entered his prime. I'm imagining he's starting to, but who knows? We'll find out in the coming years. But yeah, that's pretty much everything coming away from Super Bowl 59. I mean, it was an awful lot of fun. Didn't have a great turnout for the stream, but hey, we're working on that. Hopefully y'all are seeing this and y'all know to come through, though. It'll be a lot of fun. At some point, I'll work on doing things like giveaways and all sorts of other cool shit, but, you know, for right now, not quite in that kind of position, unfortunately. But I appreciate the fact that y'all are rocking with me, and I definitely want to shout y'all out for the turnout for the predictions video, which I gotta say, I like that I wasn't too far off with the score, but, you know, it is what it is. Just didn't expect it to be as much of a beatdown as it was, but y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. Like, share, subscribe, and with that in mind, this has been your time with A&J, and I thank you for spending it with me.